When the stage lights went out, nobody could believe it. Legendary jazz pianist Arthur Caldwell sat motionless at the grand piano, his hands frozen above the keys, tears streaming down his weathered face. The crowd, packed into the dimly lit Chicago club for his final farewell performance, fell into a stunned silence. Just moments before, he'd been playing Round Midnight with the same soulful fire that had defined his career for over 50 years. Now, nothing. A man who once played for presidents and royalty, who toured every continent except Antarctica, sat like a statue in the spotlight, as if haunted by a ghost only he could see. It wasn't illness, not then. Doctors would later rule that out. It wasn't exhaustion, though at 82 he had every right to be tired. No, something deeper had cracked open inside him, right there on stage, in front of thousands. And what made it worse was that no one, not even his longtime manager or his daughter seated in the front row, had any idea why. But the truly shocking thing was that this wasn't the first time it had happened. Arthur had walked off mid-performance once before. 37 years earlier in Tokyo, during a sold-out concert, he'd stood up abruptly, left the piano bench swaying, and vanished through the backstage curtain without a word. For days there were rumors: heart attack, breakdown, secret affair exposed. But Arthur never explained. He simply disappeared from public life for nearly 2 years, resurfacing quietly in New Orleans, teaching music at a community center under an alias. When asked about it later, he'd smile faintly and say, "Some doors open only once. I just forgot how to close mine." As medics approached cautiously, fans whispering in panic, Arthur slowly turned his head toward the audience. His eyes, clouded with age but still sharp with intelligence, scanned the room, not with fear but with recognition, like he'd seen this moment coming. And then, barely audible over the hush, he whispered, "She's here!" His daughter Clara rose from her seat, heart pounding. "Who's here, Dad?" she asked, stepping toward the stage. But Arthur didn't answer. He only pointed, a trembling finger aimed not at the crowd, but at the far corner of the balcony, where shadows swallowed the light. There was no one there, at least not visibly. Yet, Arthur's expression said otherwise. He looked like a man seeing a long-dead dream step back into the world. You won't believe it, but the security footage from that night shows something strange. Just before Arthur froze, a woman in a pale blue dress entered the balcony. She sat alone, watched silently. And when Arthur looked up, their eyes met. Then, seconds later, she was gone, vanished. No exit recorded, no ticket purchase, nothing in the system. Just a blurred figure caught in grainy black and white, wearing the same dress Arthur kept folded in a cedar box at home, the one he hadn't touched since 1973. And then the doorbell rang. It was raining when Arthur finally returned to his brownstone after being cleared by doctors. Clara insisted on staying. "I thought I lost you." Arthur nodded, silent, pouring himself a glass of water with shaky hands. That's when the bell rang again, 3 soft chimes. No one was at the door. Only a small envelope tucked under the welcome mat. No stamp, no address, just his name written in elegant cursive. Arthur. Inside was a single photograph, black and white, faded at the edges. It showed a younger Arthur, maybe 40, standing beside a woman on a dock somewhere. Lake Geneva, perhaps. They were laughing, arms wrapped around each other, the sun glinting off the water. On the back, 2 words, "Remember me." Clara picked it up, frowning. "Dad, who is this?" Arthur's breath hitched. "Her name was Lillian," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "We were going to get married before the war tore everything apart." But there was still something he didn't know, because Lillian had died in 1968, killed in a car accident outside Boston, according to the obituary Arthur had read with his own eyes. He'd attended the funeral, placed flowers on her grave, spent decades mourning a love he believed was buried 6 feet underground. So how could she have been in the balcony tonight? Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. The photo wasn't taken in 1968. Arthur studied it closer. The boat behind them, the Mary Ann, wasn't launched until 1971, 3 years after her death. Impossible, unless the funeral wasn't hers, unless the woman buried all those years wasn't Lillian at all. Now what you've seen is nothing compared to what came next. The following morning, Arthur drove against doctor's orders to the old cemetery in Vermont where Lillian supposedly rested. The drive took 5 hours. Rain slashed across the windshield. Clara tried calling, but he didn't answer. When he arrived, the sky was gray, leaves swirling in tight eddies around the graves. He found her plot easily. L. Lillian Marie Hartwell, beloved daughter and friend, 1940–1968. Hollisy, he knelt, brushed away dead leaves, pressed his palm against the cold stone. Then he noticed something, the engraving on the back of the headstone, hidden by ivy. Faint, almost worn away. 2 initials, FJH, not LMH, JH, and beneath them, a symbol, a tiny treble clef. His blood ran cold. Josephine Hartwell, Lillian's twin sister. A quiet girl Arthur had met only once. A musician, too, classical violinist, died just months after Lillian, officially from pneumonia. But Arthur remembered something else, a rumor whispered at the time, that Josephine had been unstable, that she'd been admitted to a psychiatric facility after Lillian's death, that she'd claimed, repeatedly, to be Lillian. Could it be? Could they have buried Josephine instead? And if so, where was Lillian? This was the exact moment everything changed. Arthur returned home with questions clawing at his mind. He pulled out an old footlocker from the attic, something he hadn't opened in decades. Inside, letters, concert programs, a faded passport, and a cassette tape labeled "Private, Do Not Play." He hadn't listened to it since 1975. With trembling fingers, he slid it into a vintage player. Static. Then, a woman's voice, soft, trembling, achingly familiar.
"Arthur, if you're hearing this, I'm already gone."
I couldn't stay. They were watching us. After Boston, after the crash, they said I died, but I didn't. I ran. I had to protect you. You were rising, becoming someone important. And if they knew I was alive, they'd ruin you. Use me, threaten your career. You don't know what they're capable of. The voice broke, a sob. I loved you too much to let that happen. Arthur collapsed into his armchair, clutching the speaker. Lillian, he breathed. But who were they? And then the phone rang. It was Clara. Dad, I found something in Mom's things. Arthur had married years later, a kind woman named Marin, now also gone. A folder, labeled, unanswered, inside letters, all addressed to you, postmarked between 1970 and 1982, never delivered, forwarded to a P.O. box in Montreal. Someone intercepted them. Arthur's pulse spiked. Bring them, now! As he waited, he searched online for Josephine Hartwell. Buried truth emerged. Committed to Greystone Psychiatric in 1969. Diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. Claimed consistently to be Lillian. Escaped in 1971. Never found. And then, another record. A property deed. A cabin in northern Maine. Purchased in 1972 under the name Eleanor Voss. Sold in 1985. Buyer unknown. Arthur pulled up satellite images. The cabin still stood, isolated, surrounded by forest, no roads nearby. But recent photos showed fresh tire tracks, smoke from the chimney last winter. Someone lived there. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. The letters arrived. Clara handed them over with shaking hands. 23 envelopes, yellowed with age, each sealed. Arthur opened the first, same handwriting as the note at his door. My dearest Arthur, I watch you on television sometimes. You play our song. I cry every time. I wanted to come back, but I saw the men following you, the ones from the label. From the government, I heard them talking. They knew I was alive, said I was a liability, that my past, my father's work put you at risk. I can't explain everything now. But know this, I didn't leave you. I saved you, Dadachi. If you ever find this, come to the lake house, the one we talked about building. The music box plays Autumn Leaves. Don't trust anyone named Cole. With all my love, Lillian. Arthur stared. The lake house they dreamed of. It was in Maine, near the cabin. He booked a flight that night. Clara begged him not to go.
You're not well, Dad. Let me hire someone to check it out.
No, he said firmly. This is mine. My silence cost me 50 years. I won't lose another day. An injustice that could happen to any of us, being torn from love not by death but by lies. Even that strong person was once this helpless. The crack in Arthur's voice as he kissed Clara goodbye told her everything. This wasn't just a trip, it was a reckoning. Maine was colder than expected. Snow dusted the trees. The road to the cabin was nearly impassable. Arthur rented a snowmobile guided by GPS. Every mile felt heavier, memories flooded back. Lillian laughing in the rain, dancing barefoot in a hotel room in Paris, whispering secrets against his chest. Had it all been stolen, not by time, but by conspiracy? When he reached the cabin, the door was slightly ajar, not broken, unlatched, inviting. Inside, dust covered everything, but no cobwebs. Recent footprints in the wood dust. A teacup on the table, still warm. On the mantel, a music box, silver, engraved with ivy. He opened it. Autumn leaves played slightly off-key as if the mechanism was failing. But there was still something he didn't know. Behind the music box, a photograph. This one newer. Nestic? Nesticle. Lillian older, hair silver, face lined, but undeniably hers, standing beside a man in a dark coat. Behind them, a sign, Cole and Associates, talentmanagement.es. Arthur's blood turned to ice. Cole, the name from the letter, his manager for 20 years, the man who'd built his career, who'd handled all his contracts, who'd advised him to move on from the past. Cole had known. And then the phone rang. Arthur didn't carry a cell, but the landline, ancient rotary, sat on the wall. It shouldn't even work, yet it rang. Once, twice, he answered. A voice, smooth, familiar, said, "Arthur, you weren't supposed to find this place, Cole. You ruined everything," Cole continued. "She was supposed to stay buried. You were supposed to forget. We gave you fame, fortune, legacy. And for what? A ghost?" Arthur's grip tightened on the receiver. "Where is she? She's not yours anymore. She made her choice, to disappear, to let you live. And you repaid her by chasing shadows? What did you do to her?" Arthur shouted. Silence. Then, "I protected you, from the truth, from yourself. Hang up, Arthur, or you'll regret it." The line went dead. Just when they thought it was over, the basement door creaked open. Arthur turned slowly. A woman stood in the doorway, thin, wrapped in a woolen shawl, eyes wide with fear and hope. "Arthur," she whispered, "time stopped. Lillian." Tears streamed down her face. "I thought you'd never come." He stepped forward, trembling. Why didn't you write? Call." "I searched. They wouldn't let me," she said. "Cole's people, always watching. When I tried to reach you, bad things happened. Accidents, messages erased. I thought you didn't want me." He reached for her hand. Cold. Real. "They told me you were dead," he said. "And I let them," she replied, "because I loved you. Because your music mattered more than my happiness." Everyone knew the truth, but the real shock was yet to come. Later, as they sat by the fire, Lillian revealed the rest. Her father hadn't just been a banker. He'd worked for a covert division of the CIA, involved in psychological operations. When he died suddenly in 1967, files went missing. Lillian inherited encrypted documents. The government wanted them. When she refused, they faked her death, used Josephine's body as a decoy, and forced her into hiding. Cole, then a young agent, was assigned to monitor Arthur to ensure he never got close to the truth. But Cole grew greedy, used the information to build a music empire, controlling artists through blackmail. Arthur was his greatest success and his greatest risk. One reunion with Lillian could unravel everything. "That's why he intercepted the letters," Lillian said. "Why he planted stories about my instability. He needed you isolated, famous, obedient." Arthur sat in silence. Lifetime of decisions, tours canceled, relationships ended, mysterious threats suddenly made sense. They had to expose Cole. But how? Evidence had been erased. Witnesses silenced, and Cole had resources, private security, political connections, media influence. There was only one way. Arthur called Clara. "Get the camera, bring the crew, come to Maine, and bring a lawyer." What would you do if it were you losing 50 years of love to a lie? The crack in Arthur's voice when he described holding Lillian again shattered everyone who heard it. They filmed everything. Lillian's testimony, the music box, the letters, the call log showing Cole's number contacting the cabin minutes before. Arthur uploaded it all, first to a secure server, then to a public live stream titled, "The Truth About My Life." Within hours, millions watched. Cole denied everything at first, then vanished. But the FBI didn't. Agents arrived at his mansion within 12 hours, seized hard drives, arrested associates, uncovered a network of coercion spanning decades, targeting musicians, actors, journalists, and at the center, Cole. As the news broke, Arthur sat on the porch with Lillian, snow falling gently around them. "I spent my life playing songs about love and loss," he said. "But I never knew the real story until now," she smiled. "We have time now, not much, but enough." He nodded. "Enough to finish our song. The video has been viewed over 47 million times." Arthur and Lillian married in a small ceremony by the lake 6 weeks later. He played Autumn Leaves on a portable keyboard. She danced in the snow. He passed peacefully in his sleep 1 year later, hand in hers. And when the door opened, what they saw was a crowd, fans, strangers, journalists, gathered outside, holding candles, playing his music into the night, a legend gone, a love reclaimed. But there was still something he didn't know. In Arthur's final journal, discovered by Clara, one entry stood out. "If you're reading this, I'm gone." But look in the false bottom of the piano bench. There's one last tape, for her, for you, for the truth that still needs telling. Clara hasn't opened it yet. She's waiting, because some doors open only once, and then the doorbell rang.